People a couple minutes to gather, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Boston New Technologies CleanTech, GreenTech, and Energy Startup Showcase BNT 116. I'm Chris Rakenna, lead organizer for Boston New Technology, and I hope you're all doing well. BNT is a volunteer-run startup technology and business network whose mission is to help local businesses launch and grow, especially startups. We host free and not-for-profit events every month. Our events are geared towards connecting the community around educational and inspiring programs just like today's. It's always free for New England's founders to present at our startup showcases. And today we have 3 simple requests of you. Let me just show you these slides here. So first, if you could please share this webcast post to help us reach more people to see this, that'd be great. Secondly, if you can share your comments and questions for speakers on the webcast post, either in the chat on YouTube or in the comments on Facebook. On Facebook, we might need you to click a link to let us see your comments. And finally, share your learnings and any screenshots on social media, tagging at Boston New Tech. And BNT116 is our hashtag, and just use that. I'd like to start off by thanking Chuck Goldstone for all of his help. He's our resident speaking coach. So let me just bring him into the feed here. Hi, Chuck.
And hello. Always good to join yet again. And I had a chance to meet with a few of the folks who are presenting today to help them refine what their stories are. That's what I have, what I've been purporting for many years, and that is that, I can actually bring one slide up here, that in fact, it doesn't matter how great your ideas and your technology is, you've got to be able to convince others, and that's the failing that I see in so many startups. That it's pretty clear internally what we're trying to do, but trying to tell the outside world, sometimes that becomes a little more difficult. But anyway, I don't want to take too much time. Look forward to the presentations today. The two things that I want to tell you about, one is that we have finally re-upped post-COVID our full day, what was our full day strategy and story masterclass, but we've upgraded it to be 3 half-day sessions. And included a significant amount more content. So if people are interested, go to chuckgoldstone.com. We're starting the classes again soon, and seating to these are very limited. Get in touch with me, and we will also make sure that we send off a significant BNT discount. And the other perk will be that you will get a free membership in what is an entrepreneurial roundtable that I founded earlier this year. We have had in the past few months over 1,000 connections and collaborations. We've gotten people funding. We've created partnerships within organizations. So visit chucksroundtable.com. It's a free service. Take advantage of that. At any rate, look forward to seeing everyone, seeing all the presentations today, and we'll turn it back over to you. Look forward to hearing a handful of very, very good pitches this afternoon. Thanks,
Awesome.
Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Chuck. And I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a software and app development consultant, and I help founders with their technology strategy and finding awesome developers. So if you need any advice or help, please contact me. When we rescheduled this event, and when we did that, we partnered with General Assembly. So I'd like to welcome a lot of attendees from the General Assembly network and offer them a special thanks. And I would like to just tell you a little bit about them. Give me a moment. One second. So first, General Assembly provides award-winning dynamic training to those close to the global skills gap by offering courses in coding, data, design, business, and more with over 25 campuses worldwide. So we thank General Assembly for their support. And if you signed up after we rescheduled this event, you should receive an email from them about some of their courses and what they offer. So thanks again to General Assembly. And then I also would like to thank all of these partners in the community who have helped us share this event. And across these partners, we've actually reached over 100,000 people. And we appreciate all of the help with these partners. And we also offer all of their events to BNT members. You can find out about them through our weekly email newsletter or on our website on the events page, you'll find all of those events. And then finally, I'd also like to thank a new sponsor and supporter, which is Amazon Web Services. And AWS Activate helps startup founders take their businesses to the next level. So whether you're a tech or non-tech founder, or AWS Activate is offering you up to $100,000 in credits to build and scale your business. So we thank AWS for supporting our group. And I would finally just like to give you a reminder about the format that we have here. Each of these presenters will speak for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they'll take your questions for a few minutes. So again, please do post your questions in the comments or chat feed. And with that, let me just shift and change over to our first speaker. Please welcome Grid Edge.
Thank you, Chris.
Hey, that sounds better.
Thank you, Chris. Can you see my screen? Chris, can you see my screen?
Yes, looks great. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Nahum Sadan, founder and CEO of GreenTech Networks. GreenTech is a data communications and networking company using innovative solutions to enable large-scale renewable generation. We are passionate about the environment, and our mission is to accelerate deployment of distributed energy resources to grow the clean energy industry. The power industry is going through transformation from centralized generation to distributed energy resources, or DER. The first phase of this transformation was a simple interconnection. Our existing product provides this on and off solution. The second phase, starting this year, is grid integration that requires two-way communications. We bridge the communications gap between the utility and the independent power producer that owns and operates the DER. Our platform has a much lower cost than competitive products and deploys much faster. It reduces connection costs and maximizes customer revenues over the entire life cycle of the clean energy asset. This trend is supported by a regulatory environment that sets mandates for utilities to integrate DER and meet the new industry standard. Our next generation solution is a communications and control platform named DERCOM. It is an enabling platform that is filling a void by enabling direct communications between grid and DER. The system is currently in development and is supported by a major utility customer. A patent was filed last month to protect the technology innovation. This work is an outgrowth of our current DER interconnection product that has been successfully deployed in over 60 locations with various customers. We leverage our utility DER experience and knowledge of the industry standard in developing the DERCOM solution. Distributed energy resources is a very large market and growing fast, outpacing traditional generation that can be seen in the graph by Guidehouse Insights. According to Markets and Markets, the DER integration market size is growing at 17% annually, reaching $1.4 billion by 2024. Our target market is to reach 10% of the total addressable market over the next 5 years. As far as market drivers, the new industry standard released this year requires communications between utility and DER to manage the asset as part of the grid. As one of the co-authors of the industry standard and my active participation at the IEEE, we're well positioned to be a leader in this new market. Our competition is centralized DER management system, or DERMS. It is a high-cost solution ranging from $5 million to $50 million, depending on number of DER endpoints, and can take years to fully deploy. Unlike DERMS, DERCOM is a distributed local solution that has lower cost and is highly scalable. DERCOM is interoperable with DERMS. It will complement it. It is also a potential exit strategy with a large DERMS provider such as Siemens or GE. The ROI is very compelling when comparing a centralized DERMS to a distributed management system, as can be seen in this example. The potential savings are in millions. This ROI has been recognized by Avangrid, one of the largest utilities in the Northeast. We jointly applied for a New York State grant to partly fund the development of DERCOM. The DERCOM solution will be launched in late 2021 and starting sales in 2022 with a 5-year cumulative revenue forecast of $140 million. The potential exit is planned when reaching $5 million in annual revenues with 5x to 10x returns. The ask is $1.5 million for reaching the first milestone of developing the DERCOM solution. Follow-on investment will support growth in sales and marketing and strategic partnerships. The leadership team is very experienced. Collectively, we have over 100 years of industry experience, over 30 years in building and managing startup companies. We're granted 16 US patents, sold over $200 million of products and services to utilities, influencing the IEEE industry standard, publishing papers, and invited speaking engagements at industry venues such as Solar Power International and T&D World, 2 events that I did virtually last month. In summary, GreenTech is targeting a very large market opportunity with an innovative solution that significantly reduces costs and enables large-scale renewable generation. We have a strong competitive advantage with our patent-protected technology and industry contacts. Our product design works with DERMS providers like Siemens, GE, and ABB, who can be natural acquirers. So in closing, I'm seeking investors that will partner with us in this journey and would welcome any questions from the audience. Thank you.
Thanks, Nachum. I'll kick things off, and I'd like to just ask, can you tell us more about why the electric utilities will buy your system?
Yes, of course, Chris. So electric utilities will buy our system because simply they need it. I was on a conference call this afternoon, and one utility member said, it will be nice if I can push a button and see the settings of the DER. See, today, there's no way for the utility to get any information from the DER. And this is simple monitoring, let alone control, being able to control the output power that is being exporting to the grid. So today's situation is, the present situation is that the DER is being managed by the IPP, monitored and managed by the IPP, and there's no visibility to the utility operator, to the grid, to monitor and control this asset that is physically connected to their grid. So this is what the new standard is trying to address. So that's one answer. The other response is they're being mandated to do so. So regulators in different states have mandates when to comply with the new standard. California has already required that as June of this year, so 4 months ago. Massachusetts, our state, will require that in October of next year, and other states will follow. So these are the two, my two answers to this question. Any other questions from the audience?
Thanks, Nachum. Yes, I'm going to pop up the first question from the audience right now from Ben.
Oh, so the question is, what prior funding do you have with the 1.5 million round? What is the valuation cap? So, Ben, if you're interested, we can have an offline conversation about the valuation cap and prior funding round. So I'll take that question offline. Okay, I see another question. My question is to GridEdge. Which platform they're using for integration of renewables to the grid? So DERCOM is the platform that I mentioned in my fourth slide. It's a distributed architecture, unlike centralized DERM solutions, that has a number of benefits, and I'll explain. So let's take the $5 million DERM system that supports 50,000 endpoints. The situation today is that you may have 1,000 endpoints and not 50,000, and they are distributed in certain locations. So there are some circuits, some locations that have more DER on them, and other circuits, other locations that have none, or very few. So instead of deploying a centralized solution with 50,000 endpoints, if you only have 1,000, you can use a distributed approach. It uses distributed intelligence and decision making at the edge rather than at the control center. And this is what the big difference between DERCOM and DERMS. It has much lower cost. It can be deployed quickly in areas where it is needed most, such as high saturation or high penetration circuits of DER, and it can scale, very quickly and very cost effectively. And the other two benefits are, if you have to push data, let's say from 50,000 or even 1,000 endpoints to a centralized location, you're clogging the networking pipes, and it could be very costly if you're paying a carrier for the bandwidth that is being used. The other benefit is the centralized computing power. With 50,000 data points, pushing power upstream, pushing data upstream to the centralized server, and the server having to process all the data and store it, you have more computing power and storage requirements at the centralized location, rather than using a distributed intelligence approach with edge computing and having controllers on location making these decisions. And if the utility decides that they really need a DERM system, they can deploy it at the control center, but rather than going to 50,000 endpoints, they can go to 100 grid edge controllers and pull the same data with much less bandwidth, less communication requirements, and less computing power required to process all the data. So that's the big difference between my platform, the DERCOM platform, and the existing DERMS solutions that are available today.
Okay, we're running out of time, but let's take one more question from David.
Okay. The question from David was, how do you address the variability of renewable power, both in the course of the day and from month to month? Excellent question, David. So today, as I said before, the utility does not have any visibility to the variability between days or month to month. They would love to get the data, and this is what DERCOM will provide. Will provide data in real time, so they can dynamically make adjustments between hours of the day, or day to day, or month to month. And all this data can be used, data that is not available today, can be used for pricing, for planning, for provision, reporting, and for making adjustments. So beyond just the operational benefits that this provides, there are also other functions that the platform can provide later by processing the data that's being collected. And there probably are more functions that I cannot think of at the moment, but just one example, virtual power plants. So by aggregating a number of DERs, the utility or the operator can create what we call a virtual power plant that will supplement centralized generation or parts of generation that today is provided through traditional means. That's just one example, and there are many others, and I don't have time to go through them.
Okay, Nakam, so thanks so much for your presentation, and we look forward to your evolution.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, we're going to actually jump ahead to Remote HQ because WhyKit has to take off a little early. So please welcome Remote HQ. Hey.
Hey guys, I'm WhyKit Lau, CEO and co-founder of Remote HQ. You guys can hear me and see my slides?
Looks good.
All right, I'll take that as a yes. Great. So what is Remote HQ? We're a little bit different from the other presenters who are squarely in the renewable energy space. We are a software platform that enables companies to work remotely in ways that goes beyond video conferencing and screen share. I'll show you what that is. Today with COVID, everyone is working from home. No one has a physical office to go to anymore. Essentially, Remote HQ can become your virtual office. We enable teams to work together as if they're in the same room. That sounds very cryptic. I will show you instead of tell you in a bit. We make it super easy to get up and running. 5 minutes, sign up, you're up and running. There's no download. Everything is browser-based. But a little bit of background first. If you think about today's collaboration tool, everyone lives on Zoom or WebEx or Google Hangouts, right? That's sort of the go-to. But you really think about it, these tools are really less about collaboration than they are about communication, right? Video conferencing and screen share is a 20-year-old invention. Nothing has really been innovated upon within that sector. Remote HQ, we are about true collaboration. We allow people to bring in all their web tools, all their people in one place. And more importantly, we replicate online all the ways that people work together in physical space, right? Think about all the collaboration modalities that you would have with colleagues in your office. It goes beyond seeing and hearing each other or seeing what's on each other's screen. You whiteboard, you sit next to each other, poring over your spreadsheet, your documents, and the like, and you might even take over your colleague's computer and say, "Oh, let me make some changes on the spreadsheet." So that's what we do. But before we get to the demo, this is after all about energy and renewables. This is no surprise, right? Everyone working from home has really saved a lot of carbon emissions. The air is better and the like, but here is some numbers that go along with some of those things that we've seen in the last 6 to 7 months, right? Putting some numbers to what people have been feeling. Just in terms of traffic alone in the United States, if everyone works from home, we save 79 metric tons of CO2, right? Total emissions in the US is 5.1 billion metric tons. That's about 1.5% net reduction that drops to the bottom line. That's a lot in grand scheme of things. Air pollution. We save a lot of particulate matter in the air. Vehicles in the highway contribute close to 35% of all NOx emissions. And then lastly, paper and plastics, right? We're not in an office. That means you're printing less. You are using disposable utensils and cups a lot less. And there's actually a lot of savings there just in terms of being able to add up. So, our thesis, a lot of it is based on, when COVID is over, and a lot of people want to have the flexibility of working from home, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week, maybe 2 days a week, and the rest in the office, right? When they work from home, they would like to do more than being able to be just on Zoom. And we want to enable that, right? Enable that transition a lot more seamlessly. So with that, I'll show you what our platform does right here. So as you can see, we can allow people to bring different applications, different web tools they already use into essentially a browser tab here. And you can have very flexible layout, drag things around while you're talking and video chatting with your colleague. So for teams with recurring meetings, we allow people to save and persist their work in progress. And they come back the next meeting, they can pick up where they left off. And everything will be there in the room. So what are the use cases and outcomes, frankly, right? So our platform primarily is being used for internal collaboration, stand-ups, review meetings, and the like. And remote teams that users have seen 30% plus improvement in time saved, just because we automate a lot of stuff. We allow people to just get started. No more prepping the meeting. No more, hey, Joe, where were the notes? Where were the notes that we took from last week? Everything is saved automatically and carried over to the next meeting. Teams also use this for sales, for external meetings, right? We have some very unique capabilities where we can turn any website or any web application instantly collaborative, turning it from single player into multiplayer mode without any software download or code changes. So sales teams use this to do sales pitches and sales demos where they can hand control over of the demo to the prospects for instant test drive. And, I'll tell you, every time I see the reaction when our customers do that, the prospect's eyes just widen. It's like, what do you mean? I can control this demo? I thought it was a screen share. No, it ain't. So folks who have used this have seen win rates by upwards of 30+% while reducing the sales cycle. Lastly, support. How many times do people go back and forth on email, on instant messaging, and they're talking past each other with a support agent? So we allow support agent to basically just send a link, jump into a remote HQ room, spin up a shared browser, which is the virtual browser that's collaborative, and have the person log in and show them what the issue is, and then they can resolve the issue collaboratively. Literally shrink ticket resolution time by a lot, by almost 27 to 30%. We're used by companies big and small. Our company is about 3 years old. Our product rolled out last year. But that being said, a lot of big companies use us, ranging from MIT, Udemy, Last Minute, Root Insurance, and obviously the most highly valued startup in the entire world, TikTok, whose owner is ByteDance, out of China and San Francisco. They use this as well. Security is a big deal for us. We are encrypted fully at rest and in flight, AES 256 encryption. We are multi-cloud. We back into AWS, GCP, and Azure. We have different layers of security, from not just the encryption scheme, but also the fact that every room that you create within Remote HQ have different levels of security, from being whitelist only to you being able to selectively allow people to come in. We're GDPR compliant, PCI and SOC 2 compliant, and HIPAA compliant as well. Who we are, we were founded in 2017. Our team come from a number of proven SaaS companies. My background, this is my third company. My last company was a company called ScanScout that became Magnite. We ran it for 8-9 years. We ended up taking it public on New York Stock Exchange, then merged into another company on NASDAQ that changed their name to Magnite. But I think the most interesting thing here is my co-founder. He has a much more interesting bio than I do. He spent 8 years building missile guidance systems for the Navy, things that he couldn't tell even me about. He has the highest security clearance, so interesting background there. We are venture funded by tier 1 investors, Underscore Ventures in Boston, SV Angel, as well as individuals such as Jack Dorsey. Team, by the way, when we started this 3 years ago, we decided from day one that we're going to be a remote first team. So in some ways, when COVID hit, we never really missed a beat. Last slide, by the way, this is entirely self-service. If this is interesting to you and to your team, feel free to sign up at remotehq.com. You get a all-you-can-eat 30-day free trial. And then after that, you can upgrade to continue using it, upgrade at $15 per user per month. It takes less than 5 minutes to set up and get running. Create a workspace, invite your team, and you're up and going. That's me.
Awesome, ZOMEKit. Well, let's dive right into questions that are starting to come in. And we have the first one from Atif. Just hop over to the studio and you'll see it.
Oh, got it. Sorry about that. My chat got cut off. I can't scroll, unfortunately. If you don't mind reading the question for me.
Oh, of course, yeah. So Atif is asking.
Oh, there we go.
Differentiate. Okay.
That's a great question, by the way. That's a very common question. The answer is Teams, and I'll take Zoom, for example, because that's mostly closely related. You can think of us as Zoom on steroids, one way. Another way to think of us as, if you think of us as a happy meal, think about all the collaboration you can do in an office, right? You can do more than talk and see each other, as I mentioned. Video conferencing is only a part of collaboration. So we encompass video conferencing as well. So we can do a lot more than video conferencing. In fact, we don't try to compete with Zooms and the Teams or the WebEx of the world. So there are bigger teams who are on Zoom, for example, who have paid for 3 years of Zoom. We tell them, keep using Zoom. We have facilities on our platform where you can turn off our video conferencing, where you can use Zoom and use us. Longer term answer is that we're in the process of integrating our collaboration solution into Zoom and WebEx. Actually, we'll be launching with WebEx hopefully in the next couple of months soon. So we're complementary.
Next question here from David.
Yep. Can we replicate informal conversation? Yes, we can. So the way it works is that you come in, you create your workspace. Think of your workspace as your virtual office, your entire building, right? And then within that, you can create unlimited number of rooms. So think of rooms as a Slack channel, if you will. You can name it whatever. So when you go into a room, that's the demo that I showed you, right? With video and collaboration and the like. So one of the things that we see a lot of users creating is they'll create a room called kitchen for cooler. And that's the room that people go during lunchtime, off hours or whatever, and they'll hang out, they'll grab a drink individually at home and shoot the breeze. And that actually helps a lot, by the way. We've gotten so much feedback on that piece, the fact that they can create ad hoc rooms, and these rooms are all permalinks, right? The links are not random links that expire. They're permalinks. You can always go back in there anytime and hang out with your colleagues.
That's super cool, WhyKit. We have another question from Ben.
Yeah, my ask is, if this is interesting to you guys, if you guys find this useful, could be useful for your team, go try it out. I'd love to hear more feedback and feature request. Financials, so we raised a seed round. We did a pre-seed round 3 years ago. We did a seed round. We raised about 3.7 million. We did a seed round last August. So. All right, next question. Given the competition out there, Microsoft Teams and Zoom, where do you see fitting? It got cut off a little bit.
In the business market.
Where I assume you're asking.
In the business market.
I'm sorry? Where in the business market? Yeah. So we see ourselves complementary to them. We are in the process of integrating with a number of them. Again, video conferencing is commoditized and getting more commoditized. The way we think of our platform, we have video conferencing embedded within our platform. You can disable it if you have existing platforms. The special sauce of what we do is the ability to bring different applications that you're using into a single browser tab, and our own proprietary apps within our platform where you can spin up virtual browsers in the cloud, where those virtual browsers are ephemeral, sandbox, secure, and collaborative. So I can essentially enter kayak.com. If you and I are, booking a trip and we need to look at the controls at Kayak together, instead of screen sharing it, we'll load up the virtual browser in the cloud and load up Kayak, and you and I can control without you telling me, hey, WhyKit, click on that button, or maybe you should change the departure time from 5 p.m. to 4 p.m. You can do that collaboratively with me without any software download. We are the only company in the world that, so we invented this. We are the only company in the world that can actually do this. We aren't right now. We just raised around less than a year ago. We have enough runway for the next a couple of years. But we may every board meeting that we have, we come back. When do we raise? So we are not in any hurry, but at some point we'll have a better sense of the timeline.
All right, Wykit. Well, we're running out of time here, though, so I'd like to, thank you for presenting, and we wish you and Remote HQ the best of luck.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks. Give us just a moment to transition here, and please welcome ZOME Networks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brad Caton, Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of ZOME Energy Networks. Thought what I do is start off by doing a video. Everyone always says this is the best way to learn about our company. So let me do this, about a minute and a half, and I'll be back.
So, smarter homes, smarter buildings, smarter cities. ZOME turns conventional buildings into smart buildings. ZOMEKit retrofits your building with smart devices such as thermostats and hot water heater switches, including smart thermostats and switches into common areas. A ZOMEKit gateway is installed in a secure location. All devices throughout the building are connected via a wireless mesh network. A mesh network connects through the gateway to ZOME Cloud for advanced artificial intelligence-based energy management. ZOMEKit provides building-wide energy efficiency and allows building owners to generate revenue through demand response programs. ZOME saves and curtails energy automatically. However, with the ZOME Home mobile app, tenants can control their smart devices and opt into energy conservation programs. Building owners can actively market to and retain environmentally conscious tenants. As building owners transition to solar panels and batteries, they can turn their buildings into sustainable microgrids and sell excess energy into the wholesale energy market. Combining multiple smart buildings further leverages solar, storage, and curtailment, generating even more revenue among properties. Save money with energy efficiency. Make money curtailing energy usage and selling excess power with ZOME.
Okay. So with that, yeah, we are ZOME Energy Network. So if you saw, hopefully everyone was able to see and hear that video. We're creating a network within buildings, but dedicated for energy management. And well, ZOME, I'll read it here, just repeat it, right? So we manage and monetize energy, we call it smart energy, for building owners, their occupants, and energy providers. So it's smart building infrastructure. What's unique here is that it's both cost savings and recurring revenue both. I think people probably understand the energy management savings, right? I mean, we help people reduce their energy bill, especially in time of use energy rate plans. But this is kind of new to a lot of folks. So this box that we put in, this gateway that we put into buildings, has a live connection to the wholesale energy markets, not the retail energy markets, not who you get your energy from, but who they interoperate with at the wholesale level. Now, these energy market providers, they have these programs where they pay you to help stabilize the grid for bringing down your energy at a very fast time. Energy needs to be balanced. It can never be out of balance, at least not for a few years here, quite a few years until batteries can really play a role. And so each one of these you can be paid for. So you can bring down your energy level. And if it's connected to the energy wholesale markets, which we do for these building owners, you get paid for it. So it's energy savings and energy revenue generation. Now, this only works in these organized wholesale markets. It's not the whole country. And this is the same in Europe, very similar. So about 2/3 of the United States is covered, 2/3 of the US population, I should say, is covered by these wholesale energy markets. They keep expanding. So for example, PJM just came into northern North Carolina. So eventually this will be the whole country. There's two very interesting things about this. So not only can we help the grid, help building owners get paid, and of course their tenants or occupants if it's an office building. About 6-7 years ago, the federal FERC, the Federal Energy Regulation Commission, allowed what's called value stacking. And it took 4 or 5 years until it finally got implemented. And what that means is one energy reduction event, right, where we're bringing down, working with HVAC, turning it up or down depending on the season, and then turning off the hot water heater just for a short period of time. You won't have a cold water event. We get paid for it, and we can put it into multiple programs in that previous slide I showed and get paid multiple times, 2, 3, 4 times. So it really allows for a lot of revenue to be generated. And this is all very new. It's actually very complex as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. Last month, there was FERC Order 2222. This is for anyone in the distributed energy resource sector, which we are. This is very exciting. It's sort of the equivalent of the Civil Rights Acts for demand-side management. No more discrimination. There's a lot of politicking going on with the energy generators. So this is a really exciting time for companies like ourselves. So here's one of our big competitive advantages, is our CEO, who I recruited into the company, gosh, almost 7 years ago now. He designed these energy markets, these programs that we're bidding into, which are very complicated, and the bidding strategies around them to maximize the revenue. Dr. Alex here, at his previous company, it's still operational, but it's running on its own, ECC International, was the leading energy market design firm in the world. So all these wholesale markets that I talked about on the map, he designed them, knows the people there, and it's been really, really nice for the company on many levels. So I'm the devices guy. I have a background in this, and honestly, it took me and my team about a year to really figure out the right model. And in the end, it's pretty simple looking back on it. It's bring down the risk levels to nothing for the property owners. And we can do that because we're making money in the energy wholesale markets, right? So we're really for the first time monetizing energy management. So it's exciting. Years ago, we were trying to sell as a percentage of the savings of the energy, and that's a difficult model. But here, a property owner gets everything for free, right? Equipment, network access, installation. They save on their energy bills, and they make new money. A smaller building, 10 to 20,000 a year. A larger building, 20, 40. We think once we get into the next stage, $50,000 to $60,000 a year. Once you get into solar and batteries, this is found money. This is new revenue. It's really exciting. There's also the benefit for the property owner to advertise tech or green lifestyle. The tenants, we are focused right now on apartment buildings. We're doing some stuff in warehouses and office buildings as well. But our sweet spot. We're in 9 apartment buildings today, for example. It has a tenant as well. And as a matter of fact, most of the energy is in those tenants' apartment units, so you have to opt them in as well. So they're in on it as well. So they have no cost. They save money and they make money. And of course, you know, we act as their representative for the energy wholesale markets. So my background and some of the others on our team, these are 2 companies I had co-founded and grew. 2Wire was a leader in its day in broadband equipment when ADSL, DSL first came out. We had a lot of big clients, had a huge exit in 2010 with that company. And then 4Home was one that I started after that where we did home automation. We won this big award in energy. That's how I got involved in energy management. We did a big rollout with one of the biggest metering companies, Census, for demand response energy management. 4Home was acquired by Motorola, and that software is actually used in Google's first Google Home product as well. So we know how to roll out, you know, devices into buildings very, very well. We've done this really our whole careers. You know, we did struggle, honestly. I mean, first it took us 9 months to get the darn product working in the buildings, which was frustrating. And then it took us parallel to that, overlap to that, but another year to get the formula right. But when we finally did, it's just fun making pitches now because we can, if it's a qualified lead, we can close it almost every time. We can't. The demand is stunning. We obviously have to execute on it. And this is the bigger vision. Let me, can I get rid of that? Let me get rid of that. God, I hate when it does that. All right, sorry. All right. So we're shipping right now the smart energy building solution that you've seen in the video and I've talked about. We have pilots scheduled for the next version of ZOMEKit, which will now integrate solar, batteries, and EV chargers. And will be basically we want to be the energy logic for buildings as we get more sophisticated with our building energy management. And we've got some really exciting things going on, including a spin-off company we've already started, which is based in Malta in Europe, because that's really friendly for regulatory in terms of transactive energy. But anyway, so this is where we're moving into. if people want to talk afterwards, we can talk more about that. This is a grant we've won. It's a very strategic one for us on many levels. First, it's going to be a beta site for these microgrid buildings I talked about. It's a funded, they're going to fund 4 of these for us, which is fantastic. It's going to be in the PJM market area. That is the largest wholesale market, actually not just in the country, in the world. They call it the most complicated machine in the world. It's a great group to be working with. This is been getting a lot of attention, this program. It's going to allow us to do some stuff with our algorithms, bring in security. We're going to be creating a new service out of this that all demand-side management leaders will need, players will need to start using if things go right in 2023 to register and be monitored. And it's perfect with that first quarter 22 I talked about. The last thing I'll mention about non-dilutive capital, we just started. It's really exciting. Lots of partners, including potential folks we might exit to. But here's the really cool thing. So one of our team members, Dr. Bob Wilson, was announced yesterday. He won the Nobel Prize in Economics. The 2 guys, right? So this is fantastic. It was him and his partner, his ex-student. He's on our project team. Every week we're meeting with them. We're using his auction theories, are involved in this big project. So, it doesn't get more marquee than this. So we are raising a financing. I'll talk about that. Here's our background. So we've raised $4 million total to date in terms of capital. Last year we had a little over $450,000 in revenue. We are in buildings today. The product works. And we're really, if anyone wants to dive in, we're past the product tech risks. The market fit risk is, check mark there. We are a spring coil ready to scale. We need money for that. We have we have 3, 4, if you include an LOI, large property companies that have signed up with us. It was that demand slide I went through quickly before. We have 8 buildings identified through them that will allow us to scale. Anyway, so here's the details on the round. We are looking, this first 150K we get in. Both the CEO and I have both invested over $500,000. We're getting a little tapped out. We'll put this in if we need to, but we'd love to get some other folks in on this with us. And so with the first 150K in, we'll offer warrants or maybe even a rev share. Here are the buildings. These are very strategic. So these are 3 very large property companies, a 4th that's looking on the side because they're partnered with one of the 3. And we're getting to the point where we're having to look at very large hardware purchasing, and I'm having to work with either Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank on getting some equipment financing going here, which we can definitely do because the equipment can be paid off as part of the revenue streams that we can enable. So anyway, so these are the buildings. We're looking for sponsors. Come sponsor a building, one might say. And with that, I'm done. Here's our website. Here's my contact info. And with that, I guess I'll take any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Brad. I'll just kick it off and ask you if you could just tell us a little bit more about the types of properties that you're servicing now and also where you're going in the future.
Okay, yeah, good question. Thanks. Well, we focused initially, I should back up. So we actually had a client server solution but in 2017, we said, let's go cloud and let's focus on apartment buildings because to this day still, it's a very underserved market sector, very underserved. People that know it's a commercial building, a set of residential buildings, so it's like lost. So we really focused on that. And so that's our sweet spot. The other reason we picked that building type is that we have algorithms. And so there's a building envelope that we consider. And it's really the perfect first building envelope because it's, you get a nice, say a tower, apartment tower under management. It's not pretty similar to an apartment building is very similar to an office building, right? Different office workers, different thermostats, very similar. We're finding we're moving now into warehouses, refrigerated warehouses in particular, with one of the top 2 players in that sector, which is a burgeoning opportunity for us, which is kind of nice as well. Universities, the campus-style dorm rooms that they have are excellent as well. Anyway, so those are probably the top next set of buildings we'll be going into. Oh, I see a question. How do you see on the second grid working? Yeah, no, there's definitely ways that we can work together. We've created. That's a good question. Thanks for that. We have a lot of subsystems as well with our technology, and it's all built under cloud microservices. So there's a lot of APIs, so we're able to integrate different subcomponents. And that grid technology and that optimization is a layer that we're trying to get into as well. We're doing it at the apartment level, the building level. And so I think they could really help us as we potentially, move on to sort of the community level optimization. We are, yeah. So moving out of the U.S., we're focused right now in U.S. and Europe right now because those are opportunities we have. We've won another big grant actually in the EU, which is more so to do with our transactive energy platform. And so because we do have that gateway box, we have to customize it for different countries. So we have an international rollout, right? So over the next 4 years, we plan to be hopefully worldwide if we're successful. But U.S. and Europe are the priorities right now. ZOMEKit, yes. You were talking something blockchain related. Yeah, okay, thanks, Ben. Yeah, so we were at CES 2019. We won a big award there, Best of Show in the Smart Cities category. It was that fourth column of that building progression slide I said that we kind of wrote our ZOMEKit around.
So Brad, Ben was also asking if blockchain is part of your business plan.
It is. It absolutely is, yes. So we have a subsidiary company that we started about a year and a half ago called World Energy Consortium, or WEC for short. We put that in Europe because it's, especially in Malta, it's much more friendly regulatory-wise. We're developing a transactive energy platform there. It's a new development. It's not going to be released until the end of next year, so it's a long cycle. But we're able to basically do that off balance sheet, although it's a subsidiary, so I guess technically it is on the balance sheet. But we were able to raise some extra capital in that particular vehicle. And so that's going on right now. That's a very good question. So someone asked if you address apartment buildings, do you also address condos? So the technology absolutely supports it very well, right? Changing out the devices and covering the building and the wireless network and the building envelope. What doesn't work, and we are not focusing on condos, is that each person owns that condo. Whereas with an apartment building, the building owner, they own the infrastructure. They own the thermostats. They own, rights to the hot water heater. There's no knocking and saying, hey, subscribe or enroll in our program. They're told that equipment's going to get installed into the apartment building at a particular day and time. And we have we've really, in the buildings that we've installed, we've really got this down to a near science. But we think we can get about in the last building we did, a 95% opt-in rate. Because we're installing the equipment, it comes in that day in advance. You get the mobile app, you can opt out any time, and even get all the cool stuff with the service itself. And that's most demand response programs are 50 to 60% opt-in. So that's another whole thing that we're excited about because we think we've solved another problem there.
That's all awesome, Brad. Well, we're pretty much out of time, but if you have any final thought.
Hey, thanks for the opportunity to present. Great group, love what's going on. If anyone's interested, please contact me. If you know anyone who wants to invest, or if you're interested yourself, or for partnering, we're also starting to staff up. We have the team now, but we know in January we're going to staff up technical staff. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know as well. And thanks again for the time.
Awesome, thanks, Brad, and we wish ZOME Energy Networks the best of luck.
Thank you.
Sure. All right, give us just transition second here. Please welcome TransitX.
Hi, it's Mike Stanley. I'm the founder of TransitX. So TransitX is building podways around the world to cure roads disease and all the problems associated with the current transportation, the pollution, the traffic congestion, crashes, poor resiliency, and the costly and crumbling infrastructure. Our podway is privately financed public transit with the cost, capacity, and convenience to supplant cars, buses, trains, trucks, and even short flights. The podway is self-powered solar electric pods that travel under a micro guideway at 45 miles an hour and 150 along highways. So pods come down to the ground on microlifts for boarding. There are no large stations. The pods are carrying 4 passengers or up to 2 tons of freight, packages, or bulk goods. The podways are 100% powered by renewable energy and are 10 times more efficient than electric cars. Pods also help and stop the spread of disease. We demonstrated our functional prototype in 2018, and our outdoor test track will break ground this year in New Hampshire. We have 5 major projects underway in Nepal, Ghana, Philippines, Hawaii, and New Hampshire. All these places we have rights of way for systems totaling 6,000 pods, 71 kilometers, and 250 stops. So we'll schedule private demonstrations this spring, and our first podway will open in New Hampshire at the end of next year. And the plan is, podway networks are providing full coverage over large metropolitan areas, kind of like a sparse road network. We have grown our business development organically through regional representatives with high-level connections to government leaders in over 30 countries. Our projects are privately financed, so we don't need any government funding. This is possible because the projects are profitable due to their low cost to build and operate. So project financing can be used to fund the large networks. Getting the first project financed is always the most difficult, but once it's operating, billions in project financing are readily available. This means that we can rapidly transition to carbon-free and efficient transportation without massive government investment in transportation infrastructure. To date, we have funded development solely from debt and have taken no equity financing from VCs or corporations. Our growth entirely comes from our project implementations. So the greatest challenge, I'd say the most challenging aspect is getting government leaders to see that the significant risks that they're currently facing and understand that moving forward with a podway lowers their risk exposure. All of our projects are bonded and insured. The government has no financial burden from capital costs, subsidies, or guarantees. We've significantly lowered the cost and time of producing project proposals, feasibility studies, and financials, which normally takes months and potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now we can produce custom project documents in only a few hours. So this lets us make many proposals, and we've made over 1,000 proposals to date. I'd say our greatest advantage is when it comes to project viability, it comes down to costs. It's the cost to build and operate, so we can charge low fares and deliver above average returns to investors. In the energy industry, the full cost of generation can be calculated using the levelized cost of energy formula. Similarly, we can compare transportation modes by calculating the lowest levelized cost of transportation. So podways should achieve the lowest cost at around 5 cents per passenger kilometer. A car's cost, by comparison, is about 10 times higher, and light rail is about 25 times higher. So consider that a $7,000 pod replaces 30 electric vehicles, each costing more than $30,000. And a podway costs about the same as a roadway plus bridges, and a light rail costs at least 20 times more. So not only is a podway low cost, but it delivers superior quality of service. And so a podway is providing better, faster, and lower costs. Our projects are profitable in countries where even the majority of people don't own a car and the median income is less than $2,000 a year. In developing countries, a podway can only provide transportation for people and goods, but also water, electricity, mail, propane gas, and data communications. One way we achieve the low cost is through manufacturing of civil infrastructure. So all of our parts are prefabricated and then quickly assembled on site. So we've started building limited production capacity in Pennsylvania and northern New Hampshire. The first high volume factory will be operational in 2022, and will have the capacity to produce about 200 kilometers of guideway annually on a single line. So while construction of heavy civil infrastructure is disruptive and lengthy, a podway is light civil infrastructure and has rapid installation and minimal disruption. So if you have questions about our podways or projects, you can see our website. Our handbook is available at transidex.com. Our patents are pending with dozens to be filed next year. So there's no shortage of transportation innovations, but how could they cure road disease? Let's take autonomous electric vehicles. Well, they have much higher costs and they don't relieve congestion. They need cities to invest in expensive charging infrastructure. And so pods will be much safer than AVs as well. High-speed rail, well, that's way too expensive, and projects need to acquire new rights-of-way, which is nearly impossible in most countries, China being the exception. Flying cars, well, they're very noisy, inefficient, and there's few places to land in the city. And bus rapid transit, well, BRT may be faster, but it's expensive and still shares the same problems that with buses. So TransitX Podways moves us towards many zeros: zero carbon, zero pollution, zero crashes, zero footprint, zero noise, just to name a few. Around the world, we suffer from road disease, and this is the cure that leads us to a happy and healthy society. We aim to build 3 million miles of podways over the next 10 years to rapidly decarbonize transportation and create green and walkable cities. So improving transportation is fundamental to achieving clean energy, clean air, good education and healthcare, equitability, lower crime, food security, clean water, and ending poverty and homelessness. There's a lot of today, doom and gloom about pandemics, recession, rising inequality, rising race tensions, rising healthcare costs, rising waters, rising temperatures, and rising authoritarianism. And so many people find it difficult to have an optimistic view on our future. I'm optimistic because I know that we can solve these challenges. There are solutions that don't further burden taxpayers, and it can be done in years and not decades. It starts with a better transportation system, and the implications will blow your mind. Thanks.
Awesome, Mike. That's inspiring for sure. We do have some questions coming in, so let me pop up the first one from Hyatt, if I pronounced that right.
Yeah, the collaboration with the government is really for rights of way. So yes, that's why we have to have our representatives have intimate connections directly with either it's a mayor or governor or president or chief minister. So yes, it does require collaboration with the government, but not for funding. And it makes it a lot easier when you don't ask them for money. And then how does a metric CO2? So for light rail, so you're looking at it's similar to like an electric bicycle. So you're looking at about 10 times less CO2 per passenger mile than, say, an electric vehicle. So you're looking about 10 times the efficiency. And so CO2 is interesting because you're removing a lot of cars from the road. And so it's actually negative carbon emissions because you're removing it. So. And if you're looking at like watt hours per kilometer, you're looking at about 13, 14, which is about 2,000 miles per gallon equivalent. And the renewable energy sources, that depends on where we go. So we can put solar on the guideways, we can put solar on the pods, we can have vertical axis wind turbines, we can have power purchase agreements. So we're not too picky about the type. We do like to put it on the infrastructure itself, so we can put batteries at the top of the poles, and we have a distributed microgrid infrastructure for that. And so I would say I wouldn't want to do power purchase agreements that use nuclear, so anything but that, and obviously any fossil fuels are off the chart. And the pods are built completely of carbon fiber. So you're looking at, well, this is obviously a model, but they're 100% carbon fiber. They weigh about 150 pounds, and that includes the batteries and the motors. And the maintenance is sustainable. Yes. I mean, one is that we don't need in buildings for a lot of our, like our operations center can be based in individual pods. So yeah, everything that we do, we try to make it reduced energy and sustainability. And so for the flexibility, we're putting stops 4 or 5 per kilometer. So you're usually looking at maybe a minute or two of walking. So you're trying to put a stop on every block. And so now it's kind of like if you were to, if you had to walk 2 minutes to save 15 minutes, would you do it? Yeah, of course. It's kind of like having an Uber pool waiting for you on every block, because now you're going nonstop, which is about 3 times faster. So you're going 45 miles an hour nonstop through a city, and the average speed in a city is usually like about 10 or 12 miles an hour during rush hour. So,
Mike, I have one final question for you. Could you just tell us more about what you're doing to grow and how the community can support you?
Sure. Well, I would say Boston is one of the worst cities I've ever run into in terms of being innovative with that. I mean, think of it this way. MIT, a pretty well-renowned institution, has to go to Singapore to actually do anything innovative in a city. And that's really disappointing, right? I mean, you want to do things in Boston, in your hometown, and it's not like we don't have issues with congestion and resiliency and pollution. I'm just flabbergasted that all our from Baker to Mayor Walsh, all they can do is think about like, how do you dump more money into the existing public transit system in the T? And like, nobody likes the T. It's expensive. It's dirty. Why are you doing that? We're not asking you for any money. So anybody who just reach out to anybody that and let's get Boston and let's make Boston green and walkable and car free.
Okay, Mike, I appreciate that. So any final thoughts as we wrap up?
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thank you so much for coming, and we wish TransitX the best of luck, and we hope for your expansion throughout the globe.
Great, thank you.
So we're just going to kind of wrap up here. So as we do so, I would like to encourage everyone to follow up by joining our BNT 116 event on LinkedIn. We actually did send out the link in your email. We'll post it on the chat feed and comment feed here on these webcasts as well, so you can have that directly and you can connect with other attendees. And of course, most of the speakers will be available there as well, and you can connect with them. And BNT's next event is actually very related to what we've talked about today. So it's called Eco City Revolution, Innovators Driving a Clean and Sustainable Future. And this is a partner event that we're supporting. It's being led by Inuovo, and it's on November 12th at 10 a.m. If you go to the meetup group, you will see that posted, and we'll be sharing it in our newsletters. Actually, it was in the newsletter this week, but we look forward to that event. And then in December, we're going to host an artificial intelligence and data startup showcase, which is BNT 117, and that will be on December 16th, same time, Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, and we hope you guys can join that. And since we can't hear your claps, please wrap this up with some likes or any supportive comments that you have on our webcast feeds, and we appreciate that. So I'd like to just thank all these amazing startups. I thank everyone for coming, and we hope